Please also help me in welcoming Vice President Marketing Co-Chair MMA Vietnam Home Care Unilever, Ms. Nguyen Thi Mai. All right, let's keep those hand clap going for Arora Media Digital and Data Lead Asia Pacific PepsiCo, Ms. Harjyot Singh. Welcome, welcome, panelists. And the floor is yours. Take your seat.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Take a seat. Great. So we had very interesting sessions since morning, and today with three leaders, I'm going to talk a little more interesting stuff around how things are changing in consumer experiences. As we all know, in today's world, the consumers are getting bombarded every minute with like diverse type of content. So how do you really connect with them? How do you really build connections with your customers? So brands these days cannot just talk about the brands USPs or the specific communications. You have to build experiential marketing. You have to connect with your consumers with memorable and immersive communication. And that's where immersive journeys and immersive consumer journeys are very, very important to today's consumer reach out. And if you look at, it's not just about placing digital ads, or it's not about just creating amazing out-of-home experiences. It's all about connecting all those to create the experiences which become memorable for our consumers. And today we have three leaders who have been doing this at massive scale. We have Harjyot from Pepsi, who's running the most peppy brand in the market with amazing consumer experiences using AR, VR, and lots of other technologies. Then we have Mai, that's a brand powerhouse, which just doesn't run on experiential marketing, but also purpose-driven marketing. So she's gonna talk more detail about how Unilever has been shaping up its consumer experiences. And then we have Mohinder, which is a brand which takes consumer experiences to the next level. And he was just showing me a video of an event which was done at this hall last week, 2 weeks back. And I was just surprised at how these guys actually create consumer experiences and bring it luxury into it. So let's try to understand from each of them how, in this age of digital and physical world, how do you connect consumer experiences? So let me just ask the first question to Harjyot in terms of how Pepsi connects all these digital touch points and physical touch points and create consumer experiences which are memorable for Gen Z especially, which is the key target market for you.
Like Xin Chao, Vietnam. But I think, yeah, it's exciting to work at PepsiCo, right? You have brands ranging from Pepsi to Sting, which are homegrown brands here in Vietnam, to Lay's. I think when we talk about how our brands are really trying to bridge the gap between online, offline, I think the first thing that we always keep in mind is we're trying to build occasions where we could, fit our brands beautifully in where the consumer thinks they can consume our brands. So creating those consumption occasions is the starting point for us. From there on, I think as brands, we're trying to build certain occasions and moments where we want to be over-indexing versus where we want to be really consumed through the space, right? So I think the way we use online and offline is to create memory structures for our brands. And that's where digital really helps us be the front runner to start creating those memory structures. Because our brand is not just about the logo. It's also about what the brand really stands for. How do you really drive that experience, that product experience? And then when I look at offline experiences or immersive experiences on digital, it really helps us cement the memory structures that we're trying to create. Because just take an example, right? We have a brand called 7-Up in the market. We've been a refreshment brand. We've cemented that cues with communication around how we've been able to get refreshed on a hot summer day. But then how do we really make that come to life with experiential marketing? And that's where we use partners in the market to showcase new creative brand platforms like Mixology, where more consumption occasions for a brand can be created beyond refreshment. You, after a heavy day, really are looking for something that can refresh you, right? But that just doesn't mean that you just want to have liquor. You also want to have brands which are a lot more uh, giving you that kick, that element of fun. And that's where 7-Up as a brand, with Mixology as a brand platform, comes in. And we activate that with restaurants, with partners, with music festivals, where Gen Zs are really going behind what kind of fun are they looking for. And that's where we try to create these immersive experiences, both online and offline. But with digital now taking a lot more center stage, not just with Gen Zs, but millennials and even silverheads to some extent, right? We're trying to create experiences which not just link digitally, but how do we take that online to offline? Now, I'll take an example. If Lay's as a flagship brand is trying to create experiences online with AI, where we are actually giving the consumers a lot of power back into their hands, because gone are the days where we wanted to have a one-way communication, right? People want control, people want to be involved, people want to be heard. And that's where we are using AI and other technologies within the whole ecosystem to drive that experiential lever up for our brands. So I think I wouldn't say it's one or the other that you need to do. How do you really look at what your brand is trying to achieve? Is it creating memory structures? Is it giving them the real life experience? Or is it trying to create loyalty over a period of time? And loyalty is difficult to create. So memory structures driven by brand experience, I think, is really helping us grow in a market like Vietnam as well.
That's great. I definitely get a lot of kick when I mix 7-Up with Shivas. And it creates a lot of memorable experiences for the guests who come in at my home whenever I prepare all these cocktails for them. So, Mohinder, question for you. If we have to drive experiences, you have to use technology at times. So can you give us some innovative examples in terms of how luxury brands use technology to create these amazing experiences for your consumers?
Prashant, thanks for the very interesting question. And honestly, it's not an easy answer because we have to bridge two very diverse worlds. When we talk about luxury, luxury is all about touch and feel. It's all about the experiences and being in that moment. And trying to get that experience delivered virtually or connecting it to online is it's a challenge that we've been struggling with for a long time. There's no perfect answer to this, but what we try to do is we try to manage the online to offline and offline to online journeys back and forth so that we are able to guide the consumers in the physical world, to have the experience, to experience the product, the environment, as I was showing you, we create those beautiful spaces and those experiences. But then how do we continue that journey later on? So that's the challenge that we normally face. And for that, especially for our luxury brands, we have created an online club called Le Cirque. So what we do is that when we do an event where we have, let's say, consumers coming in and experiencing, we try to recruit them on the platform. And then once they are on the platform, we have the CRM journey, which helps us guide them through the different. But ultimately for us, the virtual part is more about continuing the journey, but we have to bring them back to deliver the experiences again and again. So for us, as a category, I think it will not change in the future, that being a very tangible product and a product that people consume in convivial moments along with the others. So for us in the future, what we see is that while we continue to deliver experiences physically, we have to start moving some of the gathering part online, and that is what we are now trying to do. We had a very interesting experience a couple of years ago. In Pernod, we have this annual event called Les Zombies, where the global top managers from all over the world, we go to an island near Marseille, and we gather and we share the plans and we discuss things. 2 years ago, because of COVID, we could not travel. And then we actually did a phygital Les Zombies where we all had our avatars and we all participated in some of the events and the conviviality. So for us, that was one model which we tested internally, but it seems to work quite well. And now we are trying to expand that. The other example I would take is, and we are doing one event very soon in Vietnam, is a format called Boiler Room. So as a brand, Valentine's, we partner with a group of DJs called Boiler Room, where we create experiences in different nightclubs, which are then, they are streamed, people participate online, and that brings the experience of being in the nightclub to people's, wherever you are, whether on your device or on your laptop or on your TV, you can experience it. So that's also working quite well as far, and Boiler Room has been a long-standing partnership with us now.
That's great. AR is definitely something very interesting to look at from creating these experiences. In fact, I remember in those COVID times, I had attended a David Guetta show. He was performing at Dubai Burj Al Arab, and along with my kids, we just attended that like through laptop, and we were just enjoying these moments which we were creating with our families, which was impossible to do during those lockdowns. So yeah, amazing. Like the use of technology really creates that memorable experience if you do it right. My question for you, with all the brands that you have large portfolio, and you keep doing these experiential experiences for consumers. What is it that you look at from a success matrix point of view when you actually connect the dots in terms of connecting these experiences to real time? I would say revenues and other things.
Yeah, actually, when we talk about the metric and experience marketing, I don't think that we can have you the same metric to measure the subset of all the different activity. So different kind of activity, we should have like the direct KPI to measure the subset. Like if we talk about the brand event, for sure reach, and how the sentiment score, the people react with the activity there, it should be the primary KPI. However, as I said that, to manage the brand, we should not look at activity by activity or campaign by campaign. The art is we need to ensure that every single activity, every single campaign, it have integrated and, help the halo effect to each other to ensure that we can continue to build the brand love, build the brand power. So that's why, as I said it, number one is about the primary KPI for specific activities, specific campaign, reach, and sentiment score, and maybe link into the revenue, the turnover, etc., penetration, etc. However, the more important is when we set different activities together, how it can help you to build the brand love. How it can help you to anchor in the mind of the consumer the top of mind attribute of the brand. Like, you cannot every single activity we set different KPI, and together it cannot help to build the total brand love. So for me, it's quite important for us to look at the single activity and how together it can help you to build a brand.
That's great. And the reach and frequency keeps killing us. All right. So one more question, Mai, for you. In all the experiences that you create, how do you amplify your purpose-driven activities? How do you really amplify these messages across the communications that you do, different touch points that you build for memorable consumer experiences for your customers?
Actually, that we talk a lot during the almost like half the day about the new technology and about the digital world and everything. So I would like to bring all of us into the quite old school of thought. How on ground we connect and create the engagement with the I don't want to say the consumer, but with people, and how we can deliver our brand message in the meaningful way. So I would like to share a bit about the school program that Unilever working on, and we cooperate with the MOET. And one of the things that we would like to build the habit, the good habit for kids. Like it's very basic to some simple habit like wash your hand before lunch, wash your hand after you go to the washroom, etc. And how you keep like the good habit when you was in school and at home to ensure that to keep hygiene and it can help you to be more healthy. It's something very basic, but when we talk to kids, the way we do that is quite important. How we create that kind of education in the fun way for them. Like, they really enjoy that. And, they don't think that, the teacher is teach me to do so. Or, the teacher forced me to that kind of thing. So we together as a group of brands, like Lifebuoy, PS, Vim, almost different brand. And, we try to tie up what is the purpose of this brand? What is the brand message we really want to deliver? And, together, it's not one single brand, but, the group of brands talk with the same audience, that, the people and the teacher, in a very fun way. And, we create different kind of thing, like we help, like we call it is the digital curriculum. So it can help the teacher to teach the kid some of the good habits in a very fun way. It's including like a cartoon, including like some sing the song, dancing, and so it makes them enjoy a lot of fun, and at the same time that they help build that habit. And even a lot of people, they just students, they just at home and re-educate for the other. At the same time that we go into the school, get connect with them. Number one is to get feedback about the digital one. And the second is a healthy connection with them, have a deeper brand experience with the team, with the student there as well. And the result is good. I think it's very encouraging. And we got like not just about the positive. I think that from our audience, from the student, but the appreciation from the teacher a lot. So it's a very like, if some of you think, oh, it's quite very old, right? Own way of working, but combination of some own thing, and some of tech can help. And I believe that the approach of a group of brand, how we can help support each other, and to ensure that we help the experience the most meaningful and enjoyable for the kid is a make me quite proud of that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's right. I'm sure the success that you've seen in the market with your brands definitely talks about what you've been doing. So great work. And I can imagine how AI can change a lot of things for you by creating these cartoons, using AI application and bringing that immersive experiences for the consumers. Harjyot, the question for you. You manage a wide region like APAC, from Singapore to Vietnam, Korea, Japan. So how do you create seamless execution of these experiential communication, experiential marketing campaigns across the regions?
Now that's a tough one, right? Every market comes with their own nuances, but being global brands that we are, what we try to do is we try to get all our markets into the thinking already before we strive to create a proposition or create an understanding of the consumer. I think that's the baseline that we start from. We used to not do that the best earlier, but with the changing times, with the way the markets are changing, I think that's become an important way of operating. So it's a change in the way we think versus what we used to do earlier. I think with just taking an example, right? Pepsi completed it 125 years last year. We actually have a global campaign talking about thirsty for more. Now, thirsty for more for each market can mean different, right? How do you really link it back to what the brand stands for in the market? What are the right passion points that we want to go behind? So taking an example for Vietnam, thirsty for more means for Pepsi in the market around how do we link the element of music and bring, because we know Gen Zs and millennials are crazy about music. They're always on the go. How do we then link it back to creating those experiences, creating those passion points in a way that people appreciate? And thirsty for more is not just a conceptual thought in action, right? We bring it to action in the way when we launched Pepsi, relaunched Pepsi, I would say last year, the kind of engagement that we got online and offline, linking to music, and that the passion point that really resonates with Vietnamese young consumers is a testament of how we are able to operationalize a global thought process to how do we localize it for an impact in the market. The other piece that I think, which all of us in Vietnamese are great at it, right, is fashion. And sustainability sometimes becomes a very, very drab topic for a lot of brands and categories, right? How we at PepsiCo have tried to do that is, yes, there is a global agenda on driving PEP positive initiatives, being carbon neutral, but how do we make it relevant for the consumers in market? What we've done with Aquafina in Vietnam is a testament of that. How do we really link sustainability as an agenda? We linked it again to a big passion point of fashion with women in Vietnam. And Aquafina Fashion Week has been doing crazy rounds in Vietnam, right? We're the love mark in the water category right now, getting a lot of share. I would say, to the point that Chimai was mentioning, right? Experiences directly cannot be linked to revenue share. But when you consistently keep doing that, is when you see your brand growth, and brand growth or brand love translates into incremental share, incremental volume for the business, right? So I think globalize brands, but linking it to what passion points and resonates with local consumers is how we try to do that. Now, executions, in my last 5 years in PepsiCo, I think Vietnam is the only market that does executions and activations at scale. And I can say that for PepsiCo, I can say that for what Mohinder has shown me. I've seen some Unilever campaigns. So execution or activation, I think Vietnam is killer in doing that. It just becomes, how do you become relevant from a local nuance? And the examples that I shared is how we try to operationalize global concepts to local initiatives.
Oh, that's great. I remember the Pepsi launch in Vietnam. That was amazing. I saw those videos on LinkedIn. I was like, wow, great job done. And especially the Vietnam ones were really, really good. Mohinder, question to you. You do a lot of offline activities, and I'm pretty sure these experiential, immersive experiences that you create with luxury on top of your mind. What are the pitfalls that you see or the challenges that you see in executing these things? I'm pretty sure the room which you showed me looks amazing, but I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of challenges in getting that to the level. So help us understand the real-time examples of how do you cope up with these challenges?
That's a very interesting question. And just as a precursor, I just want to check in the room, are we all marketing people or are there any sales people over here? Because my answer might tick off a bit of sales people. Yeah.
We all are into both sides, right?
No, I can say this because I started my career in sales and I've moved across sales and marketing throughout. For me, when it comes to activation, one of the biggest thing that we sometimes miss as marketers is ensuring distribution before activating. Because when we are launching a brand and we're launching a campaign, we are under pressure from sales all the time. It's a chicken and egg. You give me activation, I give you volume. But the fact is that unless we have distribution in place, unless the product is there for the consumer after experiencing, if they go to the bar, if they go to the retail shop or the modern off-trade, if they cannot find your product over there, you just wasted a lot of money. And our events cost a lot of money. So for me, it is paramount that unless the distribution KPIs are not met, we will not launch any activation. That's the first and the foremost thing that we need to do. So that's the first thing. After that, the second thing for me is having a clarity on what exactly are we trying to move the needle on. Because a lot of times when teams come to you with an event idea or a plan, oh, we will do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. Okay, but what are exactly, if I give you my brand questionnaire, which metric are we trying to move over here? Are we increasing awareness? Are we increasing conversion? Are we increasing consumption? Are we driving loyalty? What exactly are we trying to move over here? It's very, very important to be very clear that at any point in any experience, we can only move the needle on maybe one or two things. If we try too many, we'll end up missing almost everything. So being very clear on what exactly are we moving the needle on. And thirdly, for me, very important again, is having a very clear KPI. And a measurable KPI, how we will measure it. In other industries, when you're doing your programs which are, far more data-driven, unfortunately in alcohol, we are a bit behind because we don't control our points of consumption. When you look at a city like Ho Chi Minh, there are more than 2,000, 3,000 what we call modern on-trade, the small cocktail bars or the international restaurants where our products are consumed. Nobody has a clue on, what's the consumption here, how many, what SKU, what product are we selling. So for us, it's very difficult to get data. So therefore, we have to ensure that whatever KPI we set, we have a clear way of measuring it, which is what we call the universal truth. So nobody can challenge that data point and then go after it. So for me, these three: ensuring distribution, having clarity on the needle movement, and having a very clear and measurable KPI.
I agree. Distribution and clarity definitely are the key ones to make anything successful. My question for you, consumer feedback, when you actually when you see consumers these days, their preferences keep changing quickly, right? And even when you're doing these activities across months, across years, how do you take consumer feedback and build on top of it to make sure that the communication that you have in these marketing experiences or the communication keeps changing as per those feedback?
I think, because we work on FMCG and penetration, and in terms of, business size, the first is quite sufficient for us to have a quite, I think, the number of different tracking data. So mean that, we have a data, for sure, tracking data. Most of the tracking data can help us to know about the historical, what's happening, how we perform, etc. And some of that we quite luxurious, have some kind of forecasting for the new trend. Yeah. And it can help us, as I said, to forecasting or predict what is the new trend, what is the consumer behavior change, what is their newness in the future, to working on our brand plan. Like portfolio expansion and, communication, what we need to do, what experience, new experience we need to bring to our consumer. But, out of that, one of my own reflection and experience is a direct connection is played a big role. Because of whatever tracking to know about the history, or, some of the CMI team, sorry for CMI here, can help us some kind of mega trend in the future, but specific for your brand. It's most of the power idea inside come from the direct connection with consumer. So it's very important for us to some formal connection with your consumer via focus group, or you come to different consumer home visit, or informal. Even, when you were in the market, you were in the supermarket, or, in DT store. So you see the shopper, our consumer shopping there, asking them, talking with them, chatting with them. It can give a lot of, I think, the killing insight, it's powerful. It's as powerful as the data that we get. And, we need to spend quite a bunch of money to have that kind of thing. So don't underestimate the direct connection to consumer to get all the insight, and it can help us to shape our future plan, how to grow our plan much more powerful.
That's great. Yeah, like consumer direct feedback with these new channels, especially in digital world. I'm assuming this would be a little easier than what it used to be earlier. And with those in-store experiences and online to offline activities these days, things might just get a little better for you in future with direct consumer feedback coming in from some of the technologies which are coming up.
I think, with the digital life right now, right? So we can have quite a lot of, I think, chance to have a dialogue, conversation, chatting, and, getting the feedback from our consumer. So it helps a lot on that kind of thing. And I think that, how it shaped the success. It's about how we can help, the more data we help, and how we can get all that kind of thing and choose the right one to develop it further. It's somehow that one of the challenging, but it's good for us. Yeah.
Mohinder, you have a very interesting business, right, where you interact with customers on a very limited time frame. And when you create these consumer experiences for them, how do you create brand advocacy for long term?
So I think so one of the key mindset changes that we have to bring in ourselves is that we are not selling spirits. We call ourselves the creators of conviviality. Our consumers, when they consume our products, it's not just that, I'm having this drink or this cocktail or this, this this fantastic whiskey that we have. It's the occasion, it's the place, it's a mix of everything. So we call it, a moment of conviviality. And for us, it's very important to ensure that, when we position our brands in a specific moment of conviviality, we are very clear on how do we do that, and then how do we ensure that we are following through with the consumer journey. And for that, we actually do map in a very detailed manner the consumer journeys. So I know where time is up, so I'll go a bit quickly. So if all of us, today is a Friday evening and a lot of would be planning to go out with their friends, to catch up for drinks at a bar, at a beer garden, at some place. How do you do that? It starts sometimes with a messaging app where you message your friends, then you look at the bars. So the consumer actually goes through a very detailed process before they end up at a certain location. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to be more data savvy in mapping that journey. And then we identify key moments that matter. And then we are positioning our messaging, our products in those key moments to gain better mind share and to be present when consumers are thinking about those moments of conviviality.
That's great. In fact, like today evening when we have Smarties, probably some of the gold trophies win along with those Pernod Ricard bottles. That will create memories for a long time. Great. Thank you so much. We have limited time. We are already timed up. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, leaders, for an amazing conversation on this. Thank you so much.